Middle Path Radio, your number one online Islamic talk station.
Assalaamu'alaikum. Welcome to the Security Council. You've tuned in to Middle Path Radio, and I'm your brother Ahmed for tonight's show. As always, presenting and hosting the Security Council. With me are the permanent members, Desmond Two Guns, and by his side on the left, weighing in over 5,000 pounds, we have the return of the beast, Robert the Beast Mugabe. Welcome everybody. Assalaamu'alaikum. Brothers, how are you guys doing?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, and Sam Khabbab and Zain, if I'm correct, yes.
Khabbab and Zain.
Not to forget
the permanent members of the Security Council. Come on, guys. It's supposed to be,
Was
really,
it Django? Good luck, Django Jonathan. That's it.
Good luck, Django Jonathan.
I know you guys would never remember, so I never bring it up, actually. So, yeah, good luck, Django Jonathan. Yes. So we've got a very exciting, packed out show for tonight. We want to give out our number quickly. It's 07 477 080 248. That's 07 477 080 248. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, whoever you are, wherever you are, take that number down. Get in touch with us. Give us a call. If there's something that you'd like us to cover or talk about today, you set the agenda. You call us on 07 477 080 248. Alternatively, go follow our Twitter account, which is at Middle Path Radio. That's one word, at Middle Path Radio. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel to catch up on all the latest shows that we've done live, then you may do so. Similarly, tonight's show will also be uploaded to our YouTube channel for further reference, and you can share it with your friends and family. Get them to download our app as well, guys. Okay, so one thing we normally forget to mention when we start the program is hashtag Django of the Week. So this week, I've made sure that we do not lose out on this excellent feature of the Security Council. We have Django of the Week.
It's a permanent agenda.
What do you mean by Django of the Week, Mr. Desmond Two Guns? If you could just enlighten any of our new listeners tuning in.
This is the Django as in Jango, not the D, Django.
He's all right. He's solid.
He was okay if you watch Django Unchained.
Yeah. But this is Django with just a J.
And this is effectively the Hall of Shame, you could say.
Yes.
So those who have been probably the biggest criminals or the biggest
embarrassment to the nation and to the human race.
They are basically nominated.
I already have two nominees.
I got one.
So if you've got nominees, that you want to put forward,
you just need to hashtag Django of the Week and give their name.
So put it on Twitter, hashtag Django of the Week, Jango, Django of the Week, and put their name forward.
Can I put one already now? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Table it.
Shaitan Bati.
Shaitan Bati.
Shaitan Bati.
Now, we'll have to come back to who Shaitan Bati is. And if there is any, mashallah, very sharp listeners out there, do text in or call us to let us know who Shaitan Bati really is, or the Bati Shaitan might be. Anyway, you guys are behaving badly. Charities behaving badly. That's giving away too many clues there. So now, anybody, we had a few agendas. Today we've really locked it down to maybe 4 or 5. I want to rattle them off to you, brothers and sisters. Okay, we're going to be talking about, these are my recommendations, by the way, for Django of the Week. Jack Straw and Malcolm Rifkind, they have been allegedly taking massive bribes.
Got caught, basically. No, come on, all of them take bribes.
We will be getting stuck in on that one. So hold your ammo, hold your trigger button, Mr. Robert the Beast. So take it easy. Jack Straw. You may be thinking, what, Jack Straw? Yes, Jack Straw, the former, foreign minister, the one who resided over the Iraq war, the decision to go to war,
the torture.
Yep. And of course, the comments about the niqab. Of course, he created a huge furore over Blackburn ladies visiting his office. They have to show him his face, otherwise he goes a little bit dumb. He can't understand what they say. So anyway, face. Yeah. So former cop, surprise,
and human rights activist.
Yes, former cop turned human rights campaigner is implicated in racist Chelsea chants against a black Muslim on a train. You might have already seen.
Closet racist.
Yep,
hashtag.
You might have already seen this video. It's been
hang on, was he a Muslim?
The black gentleman was actually a Muslim. So I'm calling this an act of Islamophobia.
Okay.
Yes, his name is the black brother. His name is Suleiman. We'll bring you more on that story in a second. But yes, he was a former cop. We're not surprised that he would be bigoted and racist oriented. But the fact that he went on and to become a human rights campaigner, a director of a human rights institute of some sort. A director, not just a volunteer, doing a weekend job. No, a director was involved. He has tried to distance himself from those comments. We'll talk about that shortly. Charities behaving badly. Any of you guys watched that documentary at all? I don't want to even, dignify it by calling it a documentary. But let's just, for the sake of brevity, you guys watched it?
Actually, I still haven't seen it. I need to catch up on that one.
I've only watched part of it, unfortunately.
You are a Madkhali maneuver, only picking and choosing what you like. And not reading the rest, or listening, or watching the rest of it. Well, it looks like I am the Mr. Producer. Have you watched that documentary? And you haven't either. What? Oh no! Seriously.
Therefore, you are the only
permanent
one.
members of the Security Council need to be up to speed if they are to pass any resolutions.
We are up to speed. We just get the summary.
Okay. You haven't got time. You're dealing with international crises out there. An ITV program hasn't made it to your priorities list. I understand. And lastly, well, this is second last. 3 girls go travelling to Turkey. They've gone on holiday, basically. This is a massive headline. 3 girls have gone abroad. So if you're wondering what on earth that's about, and you haven't already put it together yet, that's a major story. We will be coming and talking about that very, very
national
soon.
And international.
International. Yeah. International headline. I'm sorry. The 3 girls have gone abroad. Anyway, the lastly, I was going to say, if we get time, I know how Robert the Beast, the dinosaur, feels about this, but your iPhone has been hacked by the NSA. That's right, the iPhone you are holding in your hand there, sir, has been fully hacked.
Well, hang on, are you surprised? Are you surprised any phone... Do you think your phone...
that when we come to
do you think that your phone
Don't get all sensitive and defensive right now. just relax. Yeah, just relax. These Apple guys, they're so sensitive.
Well, hopefully you can shift to the tech show and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Depends on how quickly you get through the agenda.
This is not a Security Council agenda.
That's all to do with security. Hacking is a major security
We best make
issue.
this...
Cyber terrorism
is
a serious threat to the UK's national security. Okay, so this falls well within the remit of the Security Council tonight, and we will be discussing that if we get through the previous agendas, which I doubt. Which I doubt. Anyways, on the first one, Mr. Mugabe, Brother Zain, Jack Straw, Malcolm Rifkin.
My man.
Should I say Sir Malcolm Rifkin? Top dogs of the government and Her Majesty's country. What have these gentlemen been doing? What naughty behaviour have they been getting up to?
Well, selling their services. Oh, sorry.
Well, it says here in a politicians are quite well known for doing that kind of thing. They're not really... depends. If the price is right, they're ready to perform whatever you ask them to do. And this is proof and evidence of this today.
This is not the first time this has happened.
This is not the first time.
This is not the first time people got caught. MPs got caught.
And this
high-ranking MPs got caught.
This is the first time that I think these are the highest-ranking guys that have been exposed.
No, it was before. It was the cabinet minister, wasn't it?
Was he a cabinet minister? There was a panorama
2011.
They did one on the APP, All-Party Parliamentary Group. There was a guy who pretended to represent, I think it was where's the guys, the Samoan guys, the New Zealand, or where are they from? Anyways, he pretended, he took money to make a case for them. But that's irrelevant. Today, we're dealing with some serious allegations here. And I found it quite interesting how the British press is reporting this story. They're saying it like this. 2 former foreign secretaries are facing accusations of being involved in a new cash for access scandal by offering to use their political influence in return for payment. Cash for access is the part of this sentence that I have a little bit of an issue with, because to me that's simply what I would describe as taking bribes.
Absolutely, taking bribes.
Taking bribes, corruption,
under
the table kind of money.
I can influence EU policymakers, so just give me some money and I'll make sure you get what you want.
I'm a high-ranking official in the UK government. If you'd like for anything to get done, I can make it happen. All I need is a little bit of money under the table, sir.
Well,
brown paper envelopes will be fine.
What should be just fine,
you know what I don't understand? I don't understand why people are going so hysterical around this. As if this never happens, as if this doesn't happen. Everyone knows this happens. Everyone everyone knows. Even I wouldn't be even
Oh,
surprised.
are you joking?
I wouldn't be even surprised if the Prime Minister himself takes that kind of money. Look at all the Prime Ministers. Look at John Major.
We're not suggesting that he is, but you're saying that if that were to be found to be true, then we wouldn't be surprised.
Absolutely.
That's
John
right.
Major right now, he works for a company,
Major?
a fabric company, I think it is, or something on that nature. And
Textile.
he doesn't textile. Sorry, I mean he doesn't work for them directly, but he gets money from them till today. I mean he's lobbied for them back then when he was in government, and he gets money now. But that's fairly like a low level kind of, not in the public eye kind of thing. But you got Tony Blair here.
Wow.
Now Tony Blair is in business with Bush right now.
Indeed, he is.
He's in business with
Especially
Bush.
He's in bed with Bush.
One of his right-hand men.
He was in bed with Bush for a long time, but he's in business with still in bed with Bush.
One of Tony Blair's right-hand men, apart from, of course, Mr. Bush across the pond, was actually Jack Straw. And this is why it's very telling how things work.
Lieutenant.
And Jack Straw, obviously, he presided over, as Desmond Tugans correctly pointed out, Jack Straw was, foreign minister?
Yes.
And
Foreign Secretary.
That's the correct word I'm looking for.
Was he also Home Secretary at one point, was he?
No, I don't believe
This
so.
is the guy who makes, kind of gives the nod on military arms deals and stuff like that.
So was he involved in the sexed up dossier of...
I wouldn't be surprised if he was. This is all to do with profit, guys. And sometimes I dismiss Russell Brand for being just a clown and a comedian, but he has some very valid points. But this kind of story really gives credibility to what Russell Brand is saying. And I'm not, against that at all. I find a lot of what Russell Brand says very enlightening. And what I found here is it's all about profit. It's these rich guys. It's nothing to do with voting. You people, the population, the electorate, actually don't make any difference, have no say in this country of ours. That's right. I said it. It's my country. And you racists can go back to the country you came from. Okay? But you have no influence whatsoever. This whole promise about voting and democracy, have your say. Be counted. Don't waste your vote.
There's no difference between the left and the right and the centre.
It's all rubbish because really...
It's all the one.
Well, on that point, I wanted to bring it to the story, which is this whole democratic promise is all rubbish because if you've got the right amount of money, you can get things done. What you need done, if you pay them enough. And let's talk about how much he was getting paid. Well, the Telegraph and Dispatches, I'm reading from The Guardian here, the Telegraph and Dispatches said that Jack Straw and Sir Malcolm Rifkind offered to use their positions as politicians on behalf of a fictitious Chinese company set up by Channel 4's Dispatches in return for payment of at least, wait for it, 5,000 English pounds a day. That's right.
5,000 of your English pounds.
When he made that claim,
5,000 pounds a day. Yes.
Just before he made that
revelation,
fixed price to the undercover reporters, he says, "I've managed to keep out of any kind of scandal all my political career." Yeah, he says, "I don't want to attract attention by earning a lot more."
Greed got the best of him.
Wow. Talk about, getting caught at the most momentous time. So Straw, one of Labour's most senior figures, claimed that he operated under the radar to use his influence to change the European Union rules on behalf of a commodity firm, which paid him £60,000 a year. That's on top of his something 80 or 60k salary.
And then obviously probably not the same amount on expenses.
So isn't this an exact... And
much more.
If Eric Pickle spent 170k on just tea and biscuits, then I wonder what the others are spending on cars and holidays and
second homes and mortgages,
to, Netflix or Sky or whatever else that
and other kind of sordid channels.
Yeah, that Jackie Smith actually did get caught that she spent some
pedophile rings
of your money and my money to buy some dirty DVDs.
Hang on,
for her husband.
Yeah, she done it for her husband. That makes it okay.
You forgot paying off pedophile rings. Remember?
Of course.
That's just the funniest.
So, I mean, it doesn't get worse than this. What a sham! What a sham! This country is disgustingly in tatters, and yet they have the audacity. They have the audacity to really lecture the population on benefit fraud, benefit cheats, and then do documentaries on Benefit Street, for example, or immigration, how it's affecting employment and the economy, how they have a deficit to pay off, and you know, when they're spending taxpayer money on outrageous things illegally, well, sorry, I correct myself, I do apologize, Mr. Rifkin and Straw, perfectly legally, because the law they wrote said it's okay for them to claim £170,000 for tea and biscuits. The law says it's okay. But if you have a second job, you don't have to declare it. Take a 60k salary on top of your 80k or 70k salary. No problem. Perfectly fine. Yet, if there's a poor person, an ordinary Englishman, okay, hard-working citizen who has a family to feed, who sometimes have to resort to food banks, as we know is happening in the UK, if he's doing a cash-in-hand job maybe outside of his normal working hours just to survive, these people are being criminalized, are being heavily penalized, are being humiliated and lambasted in the public arena. Yet these gentlemen, Straw and Rifkin,
hold on,
get away with it. No, don't hold me right now. I'm on a roll,
just on that, you had a guy who handled a bottle of water from the riots. Well, you know, the riot in a few years ago in London. He handled a stolen bottle of water. He got 2.5 years.
2.5 years, what, prison time?
Incarceration.
Wow.
He got 2.5 years for handling a stolen bottle of water.
Now you tell me, look at the hypocrisy of this system and the rotten core of this system that we're in. By the way, there is debate, you know, revolving around the fact that if you disagree with the government on certain things, you could be a non-violent extremist, which could become illegal as well.
CDS bill.
CDSB bill. We do want to talk about that. That is an elephant in the room. But tonight we may not have time. We will probably bring in, inshallah, we have spoken about it in previous shows. We'll try to bring in somebody who actually is dealing with the CTSB bill and campaigning against it. We'll try to arrange a guest speaker to come and enlighten us on that again. Mr. Producer, we'll be likely going to a quick break very shortly, as we have probably spoken what is only relevant for our listeners to know regards to this bribe taking. But I just found it interesting. We'll be going on a break, but I found it interesting that you know, they're describing this as, what is it, cash for access. I mean, that doesn't even sound like anything. Cash for access. That's like you pay a penny and the door opens and you can get inside. You know, well, I mean, that sounds like completely mundane, completely innocent. Nothing wrong with that. When actually it's just like, you know, taking bribes, brown envelope under the table. I'll give you this much money if you go and make this decision for us in government over there. And this is also on the back of the massive scandal over the HSBC tax evasion, you know, kind of accounts, you know, offshore Swiss accounts. We heard recently that Peter Oborne, one of the senior writers, I believe an editor for, was it the Telegraph? Mm-hmm. He resigned over this whole scandal.
So what's wrong with avoiding tax? I don't get this problem.
Well, there you go. That sums up the attitude in the UK right now.
No, it's not illegal to avoid tax. It's illegal not to pay tax.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but who benefits from the tax?
The loopholes allow them to do so. You're right. Who benefits from the tax?
So why is it that they come down so hard on tax avoidance? That's the main thing. So what happens is you have the low-level people who avoid the tax. They come down crunching hard on them, and those who are in power, they just still avoid the tax and they get away scot-free.
And when we're talking about the guys that are in power, who are powerful people, filthy rich, okay, when they're avoiding tax, we're talking about enormous numbers. We're talking about numbers that could really get this country back up onto its feet. We're talking about corporation taxes where they've got companies, say Google or Amazon or even Apple, have been, questioned, including people like, I think, was it Starbucks or... Yeah, these major multinational corporations have been avoiding paying the right amount of tax because they record their addresses to a place outside of the UK, but very close to the UK. Ireland, basically, is one of the best places where they record their headquarters to be. But all their operations are actually still run inside the UK. So this is one of the ways, these are loopholes that they are taking advantage of and not paying any penny. Or if anything,
it's just a hypocrisy, because they come down so hard on tax evasion on every other person.
That's correct.
But on themselves, they just allow. Because
if you do,
the reason why they come down so hard is because they make the money
Let's
from
talk about
tax.
some important people who do some really important services. I know of some individuals who do, say, care work for disabled people. If they do any overtime, okay, in their regular job, and they haven't managed to inform anybody about this overtime work that they're doing, then immediately they get investigated by the DWP, the police get involved, they get treated like proper criminals, basically. Yet these are the people who are the backbone of society. They are keeping the fabric of society together, and they are the ones who are being punished. We're going to go right now to the break. We'll hear from you soon. Don't forget the number. It's 07 477 080 248. That's 07 477 080 248. We'll see you after the break.
You're listening to The Security Council, a zero bull, straight talking, current affairs program.
لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. There is no God but Allah. He is one, He has no partner. To Him dominion, to Him the praise. He brings life, death and life again. In His blessed hand is all goodness, and He has power over everything. La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu yuhyi wa yumitu biyadihi al-khayri wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. Subhanallah hamdan lillahi la ilaha illallah Allahu akbar walillahi alhamd. La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu yuhyi wa yumitu biyadihi al-khayri wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. There is no God but Allah. He is one, He has no partner. To Him dominion, to Him the praise. He brings life, death and life again. In His blessed hand is all goodness, and He has power over everything. La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu yuhyi wa yumitu biyadihi al-khayri wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. Subhanallah hamdan lillahi la ilaha illallah Allahu akbar walillahi alhamd. Subhanallah hamdan lillahi la ilaha illallah Allahu akbar walillahi alhamd. Allahu akbar walillahi alhamd.
In a world overrun by neocon warmongers,
You're listening to The Security Council, a zero bull, straight talking, current affairs
Assalamu'alaikum
program.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to the Security Council here on Middle Path Radio. Joining us in the studio, and I've taken over the mic now because I think
Good luck,
Brother
Django,
Ahmed, the Good Luck Django, Jonathan is He's always mic hungry and is always hogging the mic. So I think we managed to wrestle it off him for now. So in the studio with me is obviously Good Luck Django Jonathan.
I've been
AKA
graceful enough to give you the opportunity.
Ahmed, as well as
He's still speaking.
he's still speaking. I thought you took a vow of silence. So anyway, before the
Can't hold water in his mouth.
It starts now.
I think you need to put some water in your mouth here.
It starts now.
So before the break, we were obviously covering the issue of Jack Straw and his. I actually don't remember the guy's name. Sir, what is it?
Malcolm Rifkin.
Malcolm
See,
Rifkin.
this is why I have to hog the mic,
You know,
because these guys
so-
just don't know what they're talking about.
You know,
gentlemen.
these people, you know, they're just kind of, you know, not that so important.
Oh, tell everybody about the
So,
Django of the Week hashtag.
So obviously, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we have Django of the Week. So this again, for our listeners, are those who are the Hall of Shame. So those who have actually, like I said, are the biggest disgrace of the week. So we would like your nominations. The way you can nominate is easily just hashtag Django of the Week, JANGO of the Week, followed by your nomination, and then we'll be able to pick that up. And at the end of the show, we'll have our vote of who will be given that crown. So now we'll
I've
like
already
to...
nominated Malcolm Rifkin and,
you've already
Jack
Straw obviously has come
Definitely,
forward.
mate,
I think as we go along the stories, I think more or less there's always
There'll be a few more to add.
individuals that pop out from the story. So now the story we'd like to kind of move on to is about the racist incident on the train in the Paris Metro, if I'm correct. That was done
Yes.
by the Chelsea fans last week.
when they were playing Paris
so
Saint-Germain.
when Chelsea were in France playing Paris Saint-Germain,
You know a lot about football there.
of
I
course,
just read the news, guys.
Oh, well,
I
man,
need to
you
know
know
about
you're a
what I'm going to
football
report about.
and you know, I think
Undercover football
was your blue stripes.
I'm wearing the jersey top right under me. That's the
Well,
way we like it.
I hope it's not literally top. With the Chelsea fans obviously
I'm a
there,
patriot.
and they prevented, at the time, what was seen as a black French man from entering the train, and then afterwards they made chants of "we're racist," and that's how we
like
are.
it.
That's how we like it.
They threw him out of the
and
train
they
twice
literally,
physically.
he tried to get on the train, and they pushed him back out again. And obviously,
There was
as we
also
found
a
out,
woman, a black woman, standing right in front of them while they were chanting those racist remarks
Yeah.
to her face.
And so, obviously, there's been three kind of individuals that have been kind of clearly identified as the kind of main culprits of that prevented from that individual boarding the train. But also, they've also found out the identity of the individual who was prevented from boarding the train.
Richard
and
Barkley.
Richard Barkley?
Isn't that his name?
No,
Yes,
no,
yes.
the individual who was prevented from boarding the
sorry.
train.
Oh, his name.
Yeah,
I don't know
his name is
Suleiman Silla.
Suleiman Asila, and lo and behold, he's a Muslim.
Yes, Suleiman is a Muslim and black.
French-born Mauritian.
So it looks like this
Not
was an actually
Senegalese.
Islamophobic attack preventing a Muslim from boarding the train.
I said Richard Barkley was the 50-year-old guy that prevented him from boarding the train.
That's right.
We'll talk about him now more.
Definitely.
So,
So, tell us about Richard Barkley.
So now Richard Barkley
You
is
seem to
obviously
have a
one of the
little bit
guys that's been
intel.
identified. Now Richard is actually a former policeman. So I guess it's not much of a surprise to most of our...
Policeman. That's after me.
No,
No, he was right.
yeah.
Or he was a policeman in Ireland.
Well, he says
He's actually Irish.
Scotland.
He's actually Irish.
He's Irish,
He
I
is
see.
Irish, yeah. So he's an Irish policeman, but we do know a lot about policemen and how amazingly
Are you sure he's
racist.
Irish? Because we know, obviously, you know, the whole conflict.
Yeah,
He's Irish, right?
He is Irish, yes.
Because oftentimes there's police officers sent from England to go police the Irish people.
He's probably a...
No, he's Irish.
Yeah.
I read about him
Anyway,
being...
I'm not surprised anyway.
Yeah.
The guy... anyway, tell us about...
But well, the other thing is also, as being a former policeman...
Didn't really say actually. Just
Yeah, it's just Irish. Yeah, it's quite broad. So, former policeman, but also a person who then turned and became a human rights campaigner.
a director.
In fact,
for
the director
Human
of a
Rights
charity
Institute.
called, if I'm correct, it says World Human Rights. Yeah, I believe is the name of the organization, and he is actually a director of it, alongside other directors from other African and South Asian countries. And he's come forward now, and he's got his lawyers involved to try and basically turn around and say that he's actually not racist, and to actually explain what kind of unfolding happened there. And I'm going to be actually wondering what his answer is going to be, because it's
He's
quite
saying-
hard to
I mean,
explain
he's
it.
saying, you're taking it out of context. Is that what he's saying? You're taking it out of context.
Oh
Are
dear.
you surprised?
Well, this guy actually.
But they don't care.
He says,
when that
I'm reading,
happens to
having
Muslims.
left the police force in Northern Ireland, he studied law and became a campaigner for human rights around the world. Or he wasn't just like a.
Yeah, he's been to Africa, Asia.
So these kinds
You know.
of guys who happen to be throwing black people
He's
off
the
trains,
he's the director of
Muslims.
World Human Rights Forum.
I believe it's called hashtag closet racists.
Closet racist.
So it just shows how far right extremists
Have
are actually
infiltrated.
infiltrating the human rights industry that we are seeing right now, and what kind of damage they may be doing. Only God can tell you.
Well, just as Habab was mentioning, I mean, this guy, he says he addressed a session in human rights conference being held in Kerala, India, and also
Kerala.
and also
He's a nice guy then.
yeah, he's a very nice guy.
He's been helping out black people.
Listen, this reminds me.
he can't say this.
Indians.
No.
Indians.
This reminds me of the good old racists when they were caught out. They say, "I'm not a racist. My friend's a black man."
No. My neighbor's
black.
black. That's what they say. My neighbor's black, or my neighbor's Indian. It's just
What a fantastic defense. I mean, come on, guys. You need to try harder.
the shop I go to is
Bring a
Indian.
new one out of the book. Yeah. Well, I eat curries. I love Indian food. I can't be racist. So I work in human rights field.
You want to hear this quote, yeah? The man at the centre of the Chelsea race storm quotes the teachings of Martin Luther King and Gandhi in an appeal for racial tolerance.
And then he goes, "We're racist."
We're
Sorry,
racist, we're racist, and that's the way we like it. Except I help black people in India and Africa.
Closet racist, as you
Yeah,
said.
and I quote Martin Luther.
So then this does bring up the question, though. I have to put a serious question. How many more closet racists actually are there out there who are in human rights organizations, who are maybe apparently standing up for causes of human rights?
Well, we know
against
already.
racism?
We wanted to talk about Tel Mama, for example. That's not one of our stories, but Tel Mama has got well-known bigots, Islamophobes, like
as the patrons.
Peter Tatchell, for example.
Please don't even
who
mention that
hates
name.
Muslims and the religion of Islam.
he's a patron.
And he's a patron of this Tel Mama organization.
And hang on,
There's been a hashtag that's been being used
Don't
today.
tell
Don't
mama.
tell Mama. And that's been getting a lot of attention recently. Because
Wasn't there some connection with Gilligan even recently that he's now Gilligan's on board with Tel Mama and so forth?
Right, another Islamophobic journalist who also works for the Telegraph is now apparently working closely with Tel Mama. So I do wonder what kind of support they are providing to victims of Islamophobia when they themselves are Islamophobes.
I think they just want to know who is basically reporting
It's
it.
like when was it? What inquiry was it? When it was found that the police were institutionally racist.
Oh, Stephen Lawrence.
Stephen Lawrence inquiry we found there was another name for that, but
There
anyway,
was.
The Lord.
not the Hatton. Was it Hatton? No,
Was it Lord Hatton?
No, it wasn't
No,
Hatton.
no.
In any case, for want of a better word, the Stephen Lawrence.
Stevenson.
Nope,
Stevenson.
no, sir.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I do apologise for that.
I'm confused, sir.
The Stephen Lawrence inquiry.
Yes.
The Stephen Lawrence inquiry did say that the police were institutionally racist. But what the people were being asked to do was, if you are a victim of racism, go and tell other racists about your experience, to report it to other racists, basically the police. And that's the same scenario you're finding here again. If you're having some human rights issues, your human rights have been abused, have been taken away from you, then what should you do? You have to go to these human rights institutions, these charities, and guess what? They're full of, well, I don't want to say full of, might be an exaggeration, but again, there happen to be racist individuals in those human rights charities. And similarly, we found with Tel Mama, if you want to report Islamophobia, you go and report it to Tel Mama, whose
McPherson,
patrons and other supporters happen to be well-known Islamophobes like Gilligan and Peter Tatchell and amongst others. So, it's just the irony of it, and the fact that they're taking people for food. And it's excellent that this story has come to light. We feel very, very saddened to hear about and see that the video of Mr. Soleimani, brother Soleimani, being thrown out of the train. I would be honest with you, that would be an extremely intimidating experience. You're trying to get on a train.
I've got to say,
physically
he was very
pushing
brave
you
because he
onto
still tried to get on.
He still
was
tried to push
pushing on.
himself in. Yeah.
Sorry, just on that is McPherson inquiry, I think it was.
The McPherson. Thank you very much for that correction, brother Mugabe.
Zayn to you, son.
So I was going to say, I've got my own problems in Nigeria, by the way. We're dealing with that.
Boko.
Yeah, with Boko Haram. But in any case, since the British and the English love to meddle into our affairs and what Africans are doing up and down the world, I think we'd make it our business as well to look at what English people and British people are doing, especially in trains in France, and throwing African people off the train and saying that they're racist and that's the way they like it. There's been no mention of any criminal prosecution taking place. They have identified these 3 individuals. This person himself has come forward already to deny it. The club has not suggested that this is illegal behavior. We will be reporting this to the police. There is no prevent program to stamp out
de-radicalize
in football. Yes, exactly. There is no CTSB bill that will be telling tube staff to monitor any racist behavior and conduct on trains. There's none of that happening because, the real problem they want everybody in the world to focus on is, Islam and Muslims. What do you have there?
I got a photo of one of the racists with the picture with the UKIP leader, Mr.
Oh, so you mean one of the racists? You mean the guy who was on the train who chucked
Farage.
and he's sitting there with Nigel KKK Farage.
Having some alcohol, it looks like, with
enjoying a good pint together, are they?
Yeah, I think Farage got
good
some
old
kind of
British values.
Yeah,
Hurrah!
This is it. This is what it is. They are racist. It's even in their politics.
They are ideologically racist.
That's right.
And they're getting pumped up. These racists are getting pumped up by British politicians.
If you've got any comments or questions, you need to contact us on
Mr.
07 477 080 248. That's 07 477 080 248. Mr. Farage seems to be very anti-immigration, very anti-immigrant. Let's just put it that way.
Isn't he married to some foreigner?
He's married to a German woman, of all people. Of course, maybe she hails from a Nazi background, so therefore she's maybe part of the Aryan Brotherhood race.
Immigrants of
European immigrants.
West European immigrants are fine.
Western European immigrants are fine if they're white enough, basically.
It's the Eastern European
basically
Romanian
after Germany.
Yeah, basically.
that's a cut off, really.
Right, I see.
Anything after Germany is
slightly
is a
brown coloured, the tanned ones. They don't really like those ones. Okay, Nigel, we got you, mate. Cheers. So that's that story, and I'm really just.
And then
shocked.
on top of that, he says, "I can't be anti-immigration. My wife is German."
Yes, but my policies happen to be anti-immigration. So, it's just sad to see that a woman was subjected to this type of appalling, racist, illegal behaviour. This kind of extremism does not seem to be catching the notice of Mr. Cameron or Theresa May. Instead, there is a black woman. And if you watch the video, there's a black woman there. She's right in front of those.
Yeah, she walks past or something like that.
She's standing there actually for a few seconds, and then she has no choice, of course, for fear of her life, probably to walk past. But I have to say, they are very brave individuals. I take my hats off to the man and the woman. There she is. That's the picture, right? And this is when they're chanting, "We're racist, and that's the way we like it." And I want to say that this is actually probably an Islamophobic incident because the man was a Muslim. And they threw him out without referring to his colour, okay? And so they were probably also motivated by religious hate on top of their hate for people of black colour. Okay, moving on, we have some other stories to go to. We'll be reading your texts very soon, so don't be disappointed if we haven't reached to them yet. The number is still 07477 080 248. I can assure you that the lines are clear. You will get through if you do make a call. Okay,
the silence lasted very little.
That's 07477 080 248. After you started calling it the Stevenson inquiry, I thought I had to take over after that. So emergency measures were called for. Now moving on to another story, Brother Khabbab. Let's go to the more interesting one, which is the 3 girls have gone abroad to holiday. Tell us about 3 girls going abroad on holiday. Is this news? 3 girls
Generally
have travelled.
speaking, I think a lot of girls go on holiday.
Okay, let people say, no, you're playing it down too much. Listen, Ahmed, you're playing it down too much. They've gone to get married. Okay, I'll concede. They've gone there looking for partners. They found some boys online or something like that, obviously online.
Doesn't that really happen anyway?
But is this
In this
big
country
news?
where
Is this
people
big news?
elope to get married? No. So.
They found some, started a relationship maybe with someone. They've travelled. Obviously, they didn't tell their parents. They would say, no, you can't go to get with that guy from the other side of the planet. So obviously, they didn't tell their parents. Do those boys have... And I have to say boys and girls here because these are children. These three are 15, and one's 16, right? Do those lads on the other side, are they leading maybe a unhealthy lifestyle? May they even be involved in some form of criminality? But is it a crime? My question really is it a crime for, say, a girl, a white girl, for example, to elope and get into a relationship with another white drug dealer, for example, or a Christian or atheist girl to fall in love with, say, a gangbanger here in the UK, for example, or from South America or from Italy? Would that be a crime? Is she now also culpable is she now an accessory to the crime that her partner is involved with? Do all wives and girlfriends of drug dealers and gangsters, do they get prosecuted for drug dealing as well? That's my question. Why are these girls being highlighted? Why is it that they found certain partners, maybe very naively, living in their fantasy world maybe, I'm not going to question as to whether they made the smart move or a wise decision. That's not the scope for today's discussion, because we don't focus on that kind of thing. What we're focusing is scrutinizing the media. We are media that scrutinizes the press, okay, and why the press is focusing on these three girls. They happen to be underage. Shouldn't they be afforded many more rights to privacy and confidentiality? Their pictures are being, pasted all across national and international press. What on earth is going on here? Has the world gone nuts? How many texts are there? We've got quite a few here. I'm going to read one of them. Sorry, guys. It says here, come off it, bro. This was a racist incident, not an Islamophobic incident. Stop milking it. Okay,
Always
thanks for
the
your
milker.
view. Really like that. We like to squeeze the best out of every incident. Keep your texts coming. Thank you. You kept yourself anonymous there. But I mean, that doesn't really score or win or lose any points there, because in either way it was definitely wrong, whether it was Islamophobic or racist. I hope you're satisfied with that. So I'll take that back. But if I was to say to you, what's the evidence that it was a race-related incident? Apart from their slogan that they're saying, we're racist, we're racist. What other indication was there that they were motivated by the colour?
I didn't know there needs to be more than that.
Well, you see, if you were to ask a racist who does attack Muslims, he wouldn't necessarily describe himself as Islamophobic. He would still describe himself as a racist. Mr. Producer, do you want to read these yourself? Okay. All right, let's see. It says here, will this racist be charged in this country, and will the club take any actions? A very good question. I think we did allude to that.
I think at the end
point.
they will, one way or another.
I think the club already suspended them.
Yeah, I think they will be
suspended
banned
what?
for life.
Because
they're not playing for the football club.
No, but they're
season
season
ticket
ticket
They
holders.
lost their ticket, so they
Basically,
they can still watch it on TV. They're like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
what
think-
punishment! Oh, so
But
sorry for you
season
guys.
ticket holders pay thousands of pounds. Just letting you know.
Really?
Yeah, it's not
Those
cheap.
guys earn that much money?
Yeah, I
They
think
look
it's
like,
like
street
3-4
thugs
grand. I think
to
season
me.
ticket holders.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really expensive. Yeah, really.
After all the fags and
Jeez.
beer that they drink and smoke, I'm
I thought
surprised they have enough money left to
it's not.
spend on season tickets.
Depends.
But anyway,
Depends where they are in the stand and so forth.
I've been stereotyping racist. I do apologize for stereotyping you guys. To continue, another question has come in. Is it allowed for underage children to travel on airlines without an adult?
Actually, I read this.
This one should have rang alarm bells. Okay.
It's
Is
the
it allowed
policy
for
of
underage
Turkish
children?
Airlines, which didn't make sense, that a child between the age of 7 and 12 can travel
Alone.
alone on the Turkish Airlines.
It's a mode of transport
But
like
all
a
it
bus,
is, all
I
it is
guess.
when they disembark, they need to be when they fill in the there's a little immigration form that's filled in.
Yeah.
In then basically it needs to then be given with that is a permission from the like a sign from their parents saying
Like a
that
consent form
consent
kind of
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically that's what it was. So actually the Turkish Airlines position is between children between the class of children is 7 to 12. So that means over 12s are perfectly fine.
I see what you're saying, yeah. And keep your text coming, guys. It's 07477 080 080-248. That's 07477-080-248. The lines are clear for calls. We do get a lot of texts, okay? But please, we'd like to hear your voice. And, if you want to challenge us, we are very open to taking challenges.
And before we kind of move on,
Yeah.
I just want to make it very clear that in terms of these girls, what has been said of the reason for their travelling, as in to go...
But hold on. Let me,
No,
because you're going to get really go to the juicy parts now. And before the juicy, I just want to say that the way we've opened this topic, we've just made it look like we haven't made it look like anything. That's what it is. 3 girls have found some guys they've been in contact with. They've travelled abroad to meet up with them and to get married to them. Is that not factual?
No.
That's not factual according to you.
According to, in terms of what the news has put out there, it's just the fact that 3 girls have travelled.
Okay.
And they believe they're going to join ISIS. And the information that they have is that just before they left, they tweeted another individual that left, Aqsa Mahmoud.
My question to you is again,
who went to marry her.
I do apologize.
So that was it. That's basically
Hold on a second. Of course, we're not going to question the activities of ISIS, whether they're a terrorist organization or not, whether they're right or wrong. That is not really the focus of this program, because that's already been debated and talked about already, right? The question I am going to ask is, say for example, you travel to Italy and you get married into the mafiosa family, for example, yeah. Or you go to Japan and you marry a guy who happens to have his career in the Yakuzas, for example, right? Does that mean you've now joined the Yakuzas? Are all the women in the Italian Mafia part of the Italian Mafia foot soldier, list?
Well, actually, they will say yes.
They won't say that, and that's not the case. I've seen all the cases. The women are not prosecuted for just marrying guys who are involved in international crime.
So,
okay.
Now, there's a text.
But Mr. Mugabe, I need to give Mr. Mugabe an opportunity. He's already deferring to the to Desmond Two Guns. I think the Two Guns have intimidated.
Yeah, we'll go into further, but there's a couple of texts just regarding this topic. It says that the girls seem to be vulnerable young girls.
I see.
Needed to be helped. Just as they are girls who are susceptible to grooming, and we're talking about the sexual
to
grooming,
being exploited even.
So why are we not treating them in the same way that they have been taken advantage of and effectively groomed?
Thank you.
As opposed to being classed as being these extremist adolescents who have gone on. And one more thing is, why was the British government so slow to sharing information about the girls in Turkey? Is it a sham? And also, just to add on to that point of the text, is also, it comes only a few days after the CTS bill was passed, which makes it incumbent upon schools, as well as other institutions, to report on possible extremist students.
No, I mean, this last text that you read at the question, I mean, it took them 3 days after
they apparently left on Tuesday.
They left. They actually then warned or then said to the police and the authorities in Istanbul that, hang on, 3 of our girls just came over to your place, are intending to go into Syria. Now, hang on. If they were so concerned, they knew about it as soon as it happened. Why did they not contact them then? Why are police officers now going into Turkey and then looking for them and
my question is, why should they? Even if they were going to marry men who belong to ISIS, is it a crime to marry a man who belongs to ISIS? Is it a crime to marry? Okay, that could be an argument. Then it's not about ISIS or the terrorism threat. It's the fact that young girls are getting married to older men.
I think this is the crux of the matter, because it's not the fact that they're underage. It's not the fact that they're vulnerable. It's not the fact that these are young.
It's just the fact that these guys happen to be ISIS. So that's what I'm pointing at. It's not a crime that women should marry men who are illegal. Yes, it's maybe bad taste. One could argue that. One could say, oh no, you should take a more moral stance on men who happen to be, let's say, part of the mafia. You shouldn't marry them. You're going to be living with a criminal and putting up with a criminal lifestyle, for example. Yeah? But people still do, because love is one of those crazy things, and these are young girls, very young, very naive, easily manipulated. And how the internet, social media world can be.
That's exactly one of the points I tried to make before, which is that you look at the case not so long ago. We had that young girl who ran off with her teacher, who was 15 years old. She ran off with her teacher, and eventually they were caught in France. She loved him. Everything. She said that she loved him, and she went willingly.
She gave consent.
She gave consent, willingly went there. Yeah, and then what happened was that she was treated as the victim. So she's willingly made that choice, but yet she's treated as a victim. And in this case, if these girls have willingly made the choice, they have. Obviously, they've boarded the plane. They willingly made that decision.
Sure.
But are they not also classed as vulnerable? Have they not been groomed? Have they not been exploited?
Well, absolutely not, because this particular article says in the title, if teenage girls want to join ISIS in the face of all of its atrocities, then they should leave and never return.
Wow.
That's the attitude.
Tell me it's not the Daily Mail.
No, it's not. It's actually the Independent.
Wow.
Quite ironic.
Wow.
But it's not a news piece. It's one of those, one of their voices piece,
Sure.
which means it's a opinion column where you can just write what you like, really, to be honest with you. I mean, it was strange how this lady who wrote this particular piece, her name is Grace Dent.
Dent in the face.
She had to qualify her statement by adding these extra words, like, if teenage girls want to join ISIS in the face of all of its atrocities, then they should leave and never return. The point is, girls are like boys, boys are like girls, these girls like these boys. They may well be even being exploited, all right? But look at the attitude, the vitriol we are seeing from adults in the professional world who should know much better than this and say, look, these were little children, okay? They were mistaken. Or, even I was arguing, even if they were grown, mature girls and they knew what they were doing, as this lady does go on to allude that these girls, they knew what they were doing, they're not stupid. I said, is that still a crime to marry a drug dealer?
What do you not know that?
Or an international jewel thief?
What do you not know that if you're a Muslim, the age of adulthood begins at 2, I think, isn't it 2 or 3 toddlers?
No,
Sorry?
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, do you not know that? If you're Muslim, you're automatically an adult if you're 2. So
I thought it
you
was
could
the age of puberty.
No, you're an adult by the law, by the British law.
I thought
you're a
you-
Muslim, age of 2, you're an adult.
I thought
I
you.
think
I thought
I
you
know
were an
where you're
adult from
going
birth.
with that one. I think I know where you're going with that one, Mr. Khabbab. Allow me to explain. What Mugabe is saying is that what he is saying is that the law in this country seems to criminalize even toddlers with
If you're a
their
Muslim.
new bill. If you're a Muslim and you happen to be 2 or 3 years old, then school
Because
teachers
you're
have
too
to
young.
look out for signs of extremism that this child may be exhibiting. Therefore, he's an extremist, and extremism is illegal.
Point being is this, that why are Muslim children being
subjected to laws that should only
This is
be applicable
pure
to
hypocrisy
adults.
and double standards.
Exactly. It's
Pure
ridiculous.
hypocrisy, clear Islamophobia, and absolutely
It's clear double standards
absurd.
because you've
Double
seen
standards.
case after case of girls who have been groomed by their teachers or by other people, and because they were in a position of authority, they've exploited that position in order to get these girls into a state of
And
where
there's no
they're in relationship
international
with them.
outcry.
Yeah, and they are always looked as the victim. Never is the case that you say that that young person was at fault. It's always that they're classed as a victim.
That's right.
And here, why is it that now suddenly that the
And,
same
and it's
age?
strange. I'm using the analogy of the Italian mafia or the Yakuzas or the Colombian drugs cartel or whatever. I'm going to say here that the establishment is behaving in a very similar way to some of these entities. Why? Because what they're effectively saying is when it comes to Muslims, or quote unquote, when it comes to terrorists, we go after every single one of them. We go after their wives, their girlfriends, we go after their little children, even if they're 15 years old or if they're 2 years old. We will not leave a single stone unturned. It's like the mafia saying, I'm going to come for you. I have a particular skill set. I will come for you. And
I will take your whole family.
your family, your wife, your children. Nobody will be safe. Even your dog is going to have to go to prison, basically. So that's really, literally what they're doing. And it's no different to what the mafia do. Okay, and I'm sickened really to see this kind of approach. We have only 5 minutes before the end of tonight's program. The number is 07 477 080 248. Last story for tonight. 5 minutes, we can't really cover everything, but it's the Charities Behaving Badly documentary that was aired.
Please do
I
give
don't know
your-
why you're laughing.
Please give your summary.
I was going to say hashtag
Hashtag Shaitan
Shaitan
Bati.
Betty. Yes, it.
Undercover footage shows, different charities behaving badly. That's the main gist of this documentary. It was on ITV. There was some undercover.
There's 3 different charities. One was
different
obviously
charities.
a Anglo-Saxon Nazi charity. effectively.
A white racist charity.
Racist. Another one was a Hindu
Anglo-Saxon.
supremacist one.
What is this nonsense? Trying to cover up this.
Another was a Hindu supremacist one, and the other one was a Muslim charity.
A Hindu extremist organization. And the other was a Muslim charity. And it seemed like they dedicated a lot of time covering the whole Muslim charity part. And the outcry from the Charity Commission seemed to be much, much more pronounced, more amplified when they saw what was uncovered, as it were.
So what was uncovered, brother?
By the Muslim charity. Well, I don't want to even focus on that. Let's tell you what they uncovered with the other two charities, and then we'll put that in contrast with what they uncovered with the Muslim charity. And that's the reason why I think it's a story for the Security Council. In brief, the English charity, as it were making openly racist remarks, calling black people, and I'm going to say calling black people niggers, on air, well, on undercover cameras, of course, more than once.
Talking about the racist graffiti and how they openly said,
There was a 5-year-old child.
BNP,
a 5-year-old child
NF.
walked past them with his father. A 5-year-old child who's a mixed race background, and they were openly in a group. They were heckling him with racist remarks, one after the other. And they just had to look down and walk past. This is the UK today in 2015.
The land of freedom.
That's right. And then there was an African lady that they were completely humiliating. And it's just disgusting what English people get up to, and in the name of charity.
Christianities.
That's right. This kind of extremism, obviously, is not the business of Theresa May. David Cameron wouldn't make any statements about that. And that's
we do not believe it is a terrorist-related incident. Which basically means
there is no evidence to suggest that there is any kind of extremism involved in this case. And so this is the kind of line of argument that we see the police take, we see the British press go on, and of course not forgetting the government individuals themselves as well. What about the Hindu extremist charity? Well, the Hindus were very clearly bigoted and Islamophobic against Muslims. They said very clearly that Muslims are the worst of the religions. They said that the Muslims, you could count good Muslims on your one hand, on the fingers of your one hand. There are no good Muslims except for the ones that you can count on your one hand. And then I saw them training, doing some what would be described, if you had been a Muslim charity, jihad training. Doing martial arts, how to fight the kafir. Hindus,
Christian jihad training, is it?
No, this was the Hindu charity.
Hindu, yeah.
Doing training to Hindu physical
jihad.
training.
It's a Hindu jihad.
So it's a Hindu jihad. So it seems like the Muslims seem to have a copyright on extremism. Muslims seem to own the patent for terrorism and extremist behavior. So when Hindus are training children and
with those
teaching them to hate, hate the other, as it were, nobody bats an eyelid. And the Charity Commission were there. They were showed the videos, and the documentary shows their comments, and they were like, yes, this would be in breach of maybe some charity guidelines. That seemed to be the kind of general response. And then came the Muslim charity, and there was a gentleman by the name of Imran, I believe, and he had said something about how Zionists are controlling the banks and the media or something like that. And their response was, what outrage! That's an outrageous thing to say. He would be totally, unacceptable, and this kind of thing is intolerable under Charity Commission. And the Shaitan Bati was there. Shaitan Bat was there, and again he was appalled.
Oh, is that his name, Shaitan Bat?
That's one of the
Shaitan, isn't it?
His name is Shaitan. So
I thought it was Shaitan Bati all this time. Seriously, I'm not joking.
Shaitan Bat was his name, or Bat was
from the Charity Commission.
I believe he's from the Charity Commission, yes. So he was commenting and saying, yes, I don't approve of this kind of behavior. And, they seem to be so outraged by the Muslim charity for having pointed at Zionism. Yet, when they were shown kind of hate-filled speech coming from a Hindu madrasa, as it were, a private school, Hindu madrasa.
So was this the only thing they pinned on the Muslim charity?
The other thing that they pinned on him was that Imran and his friend had said you shouldn't go to Syria because you could be more useful here in the UK, helping people here in the UK. That's what they said. How extreme is this guy? He said, don't go to Syria.
So my point of the fact here is that
the
whole issue on this charity was this individual.
Well, he said the Zionists control the banks and that's the children of Israel. That's what he said. So effectively, the answer to your question is yes. That's all they had.
So over a year of undercover work,
and that's
in that charity,
that's the best they could
find.
No, even better. They did better than that. Come on, give them some credit. What they found was there was one a senior volunteer of the charity.
Ah, yes.
You know what he had said? He said Imam Anwar al-Awlaki was an extremist. He came out of prison and he became radicalized.
Yeah, he said he became radicalized. He became extreme.
So he said all those things, and that.
But before that, he was good. That's what he said.
Before that, he said he's a good guy. But when he went to prison, he became radicalized and stuff like that, and he came out and started preaching some extremist stuff. So even the Muslim charities seem to be saying everything that that's perfectly okay to say, according to the UK law. Yet they are featuring in this documentary next to Hindu extremists doing some jihad training in their Hindu madrasas, teaching hate against Muslims.
The point is, after a year, if that's all they got, that just makes it very clear that I don't believe there was any sort of extremism within that charity. That they got
or anywhere in the Muslim community.
Any kind of little bits that they could just put on to almost sound like, hang on a minute, that's a bit iffy. We can maybe try and spin that and, just put it on.
We are out of time. Mr. Mugabe.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get off Twitter, my friend, yeah? Next thing we'll find is you're off to Turkey on your own without telling your parents and
found someone else.
We don't want to be doing a show about you, okay? We can't make a defense that you're underage on your behalf, okay? We'll have to admit that you knew what you were doing. All right, so please, that is the end of tonight's program. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, Jazakumullah khair to everybody for tuning in and staying with us.
Who is Django?
Django of Django of the week. Django of the week.
You know what?
Shaitan Bati?
No, it's not Shaitan Bati. I don't think he's.
What about Barkley?
I think it could be him or it could be Jack Straw because he just got red-faced.
I think it has to be Straw, man, because that is a massive
The fact because my whole career I have not been caught out. And he's saying to the guy that's catching him.
Yeah.
That's the case closed then. Django of the week goes to Jack Straw. Jackie, what you been up to, mate? You've been exposed, my man. You've been exposed in epic proportions. With that, join us next week, every Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. On Middle Path Radio. That's all from everyone. Assalaamu'alaikum wa rahmatullah.
In a world overrun by neocon warmongers, and with the mass media in the pockets of the cabal elite, there remains one bastion of truth amidst the confusion. One beacon of light shining through the murky fog of spin and Islamophobic propaganda. That's right. It's the NP Radio Security Council, the final frontier in the fight for freedom and fairness. I give you the Security Council.
أبدا لن نحيد أبدا لن نحيد أبدا لن نحيد عن خطى الإيمان دربنا درب قويم دربنا درب قويم بالهدى القرآني أبدا لن نحيد أبدا لن نحيد أبدا لن نحيد عن خطى الإيمان دربنا درب قويم دربنا درب قويم بالهدى القرآني سائر في طريق الحق يا جند الله.
You're listening to The Security Council, a zero-bull, straight-talking, current affairs program. Radio, your number one online Islamic talk station.
في إحساس أراه زاده التحنان فيا أبتغي حضن يتيم طاهر الروح نقيا في إحساس أراه زاده التحنان فيا أبتغي حضن يتيم طاهر الروح نقيا كي يحيل ظلمة القلب بإحساسه ضيا كي أرى غابات أيامي بأضلاعه فيا كي يروي خافقي من طهر أعماقه ريا حضن أطفال اليتامى يترك الوجدان حيا يملأ القلب حنانا دافقا دفءا نديا بين أرواح اليتامى يسكن الحب نقيا قد حباهم ربنا نبضا بريئا أريحيا نشعر الإحساس فيهم صافيا عذبا زكيا ضمني طفلي منيا ضمني أكثر هيا.
Download our app, MP Radio, from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Follow and like us on Twitter, Facebook and Google+.
أي بأس إنما اليتم عطية ما حوى اليتم انتقاصا غاصا 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 غاصا